Hi, Akil. Welcome to 11 Questions.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Are you a tea person or a coffee person?
Tea person.
If you could have a cup of tea with anyone, who would
Uh,
you choose?
oh man, that's a hard question. Maybe because I was looking at God of Small Things, I'll just say Arundhati Roy. I'll have a tea with Arundhati Roy.
Did you always want to be a writer?
No, I wanted to be a biologist or a zoologist.
Interesting.
Mm.
So, how did you start on the writing journey then?
I was always interested in stories. And I guess later in life, I was like reading more. I ended up studying like economics, film, but I took a creative writing class and I just like really loved it, and I just felt like this is the thing that I wanted to pursue and become better at. So it's from that creative writing class I started like investing more time.
And your new book, Meet Us by the Roaring Sea. Tell me a little bit about the book.
Yeah, Meet Us by the Roaring Sea takes place in the near future, where an AI coder is kind of translating a manuscript. So it takes place in like a futuristic New York City, and she's translating a manuscript that takes place in the 1990s about a group of female medical students living at the edge of a war and also during a drought. I never mentioned specifically where it takes place, but it's kind of obvious. It's like the tip of India, right by Sri Lanka.
I'm curious if you followed some sort of writing routine for this book.
Writing routine, it was a much more organic process in the sense that like I went through periods of like writing and not writing and just kind of following my interest. So the inner manuscript, which is a translated text that's inside that's part of the book. I started writing that first, not knowing it was a translated text. So I started writing into the known spaces of this book, and then seeing where the book took me. And it took me to the Jazz Center, it took me to the Schomburg Center, it took me to a lot of different archives. So just kind of following it where it led me.
And this is your second book. How
Mhm.
has writing changed for you between the two books?
Yeah, I feel like in my first book, it was much more like a brute force effort. Like I was just like hit the page, keep punching the page and like put your hours in. Well, I think this time around it was much more like a more generous process in the sense that like I didn't see just like writing on the computer as writing. I saw like talking to friends, like watching a movie, all really part of the writing process. So it was a much more kind of generous process, and it was, I think, much more exciting for me.
Is there anything that you find challenging in the life of a writer?
I think like probably the biggest thing is probably like just like a navigating uncertainty. Like you don't know on both on the page, you don't know what's going to come next, which is both an exciting thing and it's also a fearful thing because you don't know. And same with everything, just even writing a book, you don't know what will happen to that book. You don't know if it will ever get published. You don't know what the there's not really like a clear path, so you have to kind of just like make that path and also be okay with not knowing and find excitement in not knowing in both writing and I guess in like the life process. Yeah.
If someone out there wants to start writing, what advice would you give them?
I think it's like a lot of like both like reading and just seeing what you like and also just trying it. There's so much hesitation just to start. So just start, even if it's like for 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day or something, just write something. And I think a lot of it's just getting over the fear of just approaching the page.
That's really true. Starting is hard,
The
always.
hardest part. It's the
Not
hardest
just
part.
writing, even other projects, like you sit
Everything.
there, make it a big deal, and never get to it.
You said that, yeah, that's everything. Beginning.
If you were to be deserted on an island,
Mhm.
which three books would you take with you?
Oh man, this is so hard. Oh, 3 books. I don't even know. I think I would probably take some sort of survival book. It's like how to exist, to something for like existence, something to like something really practical. I don't know what that book would be. Something practical. So something for some physical survival, like how to make a fire, how to eat, how to like break open things. So something like that, some sort of how-to guide. And then something I think, oh man, I feel like I would take like a poetry collection, which is hard to pick for the spirit. I like how this is the hardest question. There's like choose two books, other books, survival, poetry. I will just say Gotta Small Things again because I was just reading it, and then poetry, maybe something. I don't know, maybe I'll just take something by. Maybe I'll take some anthology, like 20th century poets, and just try to get some sort of anthology series. So you can get a lot of a lot of different voices, but definitely poetry, something of poetry to feed the spirit.
If you were to pick one interesting life experience to share with us, what would you tell us today?
I used to work in this like a 3D printing lab and a 3D printing lab, and it was kind of a design studio. It was just a very strange experience of seeing people kind of make things through this kind of 3D printing laboratory. I think seeing people just make something really completely versus like a book, which it takes a while, and you're like, I'm making something, you can't show anything. And so this was like a nice experience, just like seeing people make things. So maybe it's like other people's experience that I just witnessed, but that's something.
Did you try to print anything yourself?
No, I think I tried, and I think I had like a lot of like kind of like bad printouts of things. Or
That's funny. Well,
mm.
thank you for answering my questions. But before I let you go, if any of our listeners want to buy your books or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, they could I think just to go to your like a local library, I mean local bookstore, or of course it's also available in those bigger chain, bigger things like Amazon and and all those things. Yeah, and so you get in touch with me on I guess Twitter, Instagram, and my emails online too. Yeah, so feel free to reach out.
All right. Thank you. It was great
Yeah,
talking to you.
yeah, thanks so much.